All right, we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris, and this is my channel, We Love Comics. And as you could see, I am actually in my massage room. I'm in my massage office waiting to get ready to go DJ. And I was thinking about a subject I wanted to talk about, and I've never done one of these before this way, so I thought I'd do something different. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on with my opinion of the future of comics. And I see people are starting to come in. So hello, Bake the Snake, welcome. And you could see that's the lighting system I have in my massage office. You could see they did a great job. They had this painted with murals all around. And it's a little dark in here, which is what happens when you're a massage therapist. But welcome, Craig. Welcome, Discovery Bay Comics. I've never seen you before, but welcome. Chris, nice to see you. Aaron and Trell, welcome. Basically, what I want to talk about is I think when it comes to comic book collecting, many people that are of my age, and I just turned 48 in November, would probably agree to this. Now, younger people may not agree, but that's okay, because if I would have seen this video when I was younger, I wouldn't have really accepted it, because I haven't seen long-term effects of the comic book industry, and I think we need to really be careful about this. And basically, this is a topic about the other day, about the article that I read, where potentially, now, I want to make sure I stress this, just because the article said what it said does not mean that's exactly what's going to happen, or it doesn't change. I said that in the very video, but I want to make that clear. But basically, they were talking about the fact of how they may be, and I'm saying maybe until it happens, we don't know, but they may be changing the origins of the Fantastic Four and potentially even some of the other characters in the Marvel Universe. Now, business-wise, that could be a short-term, moneymaker for them. I don't agree with it, and if you read the comments in that comment section, many people will not agree with that. But as you could see with a lot of businesses these days, they seem to go and do the opposite of what the fans want. I mean, look at, for example, the Ghostbusters reboot. Look at what they're doing with the Star Wars franchise. Look what they did with Roseanne, which, by the way, when they killed Roseanne, a lot of people didn't watch it, including myself. I will not watch The Connors. And that show is going to basically disappear. They're not doing a reboot of the Ghostbusters. They're potentially bringing Luke Skywalker back. So they keep doing these mistakes. Now, comic books are no exception. They've been doing a lot of what people call the SJW stuff for a while, and it started to really get people, the hardcore fans, aggravated. Because, if anything, a lot of people tend to be not afraid of change, but when they're used to certain things that make them happy, they don't want to see the characters or the things change. Because just imagine, like, for example, in video games, let's say you grew up loving the Mario Brothers. Then all of a sudden they change the Mario Brothers into, something else. Like now all of a sudden instead of a plumber, he's a baker that's now a lizard. And he doesn't do all the things that you loved. You're going to be upset with that. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't going to be people who are going to like it. But the hardcore fans who grew up with that are not going to like it, and they're not going to buy it. Now, this is the danger I'm seeing with the comic book industry and where they're headed right now. If they do these things where they keep constantly doing the reboots, getting the #1 issues, because they know they're going to sell. One thing you notice is they're targeting a lot of the newer audience. Now, that seems like that may be a smart thing, but if you read a lot of people's opinions, they don't mind newer characters. But they don't want people to change the old characters that they loved and turning them into something else. Because many of people will agree, even new and old people that collect, well, why can't they just create new characters? Like, for example, instead of them, and they tried this actually and it completely failed, instead of killing off Peter Parker and making, Spider-Gwen or, Miles Morales, they made separate characters. I love Miles Morales. I love, now it's Ghost Spider, but I love those characters. But they didn't have to take Spider-Man and get rid of him to do those. So, for example, when they changed Captain America into the Falcon, the fact that they called people racist if you didn't like it is what upset a lot of people. Because It's not about racism. It's not about sexism, no matter how much they scream it over and over again. It's the fact of changing a character that you love. I don't want to see Batman become Batwoman, but I like the other character called Batwoman. I don't want to see Superman become Supergirl, but I like the character that they created called Supergirl. You can have female characters, you can have minority characters, but not at the expense of the characters that we love. And this is where it's going to hurt it financially. Because if you didn't grow up collecting in the 80s and 90s, you're not really going to know about these things. Because if you recall, if you're my age or around my age, back in the 80s and 90s, especially in the early 90s, they were selling comics by the millions. If you didn't sell 2 million of your copy, it was not considered a success. And if you look now, for example, when the new reboot of Fantastic Four just happened a couple of months ago, it was the #1 seller, and I think it either had 250,000 or 350,000 copies. And that was the highest gross for the month. So less and less people are buying. And if you know anything about finances, now, of course, there's always exceptions to every rule. Who do you think, which generation do you think is going to have more money to spend? People my age or people that are in high school and college? And when the businesses focus on the younger generations at the expense of hurting the older generations, we tend to walk away. And that's exactly what I did back in the 90s. Now, if you notice my videos, and many people my age, we spend a lot of money on comic books. Now, I'm not saying the younger generation doesn't do that, but when you're going to college, if you live at home, if you're just, getting out of high school, unless you have very wealthy parents, you're not going to have a lot of spending money to be throwing away on thousands of dollars of comic books a month. So yes, you may get a couple of books, you may download a couple of the, online comic books, but you're not spending a lot of money. And as a business, the last thing you want to do is upset your hardcore customer, because we're the repeat business. I mean, think about, like, my generation is the video game generation. We grew up in arcades. So the last thing you would want is, let's say there's a company creating arcade games now for the nostalgia, for the people who want to have them in their home. And all of a sudden, they changed every single character. Like, all of a sudden, Pac-Man doesn't exist anymore, and it's a totally different sprite on the screen. People are not going to buy it. And what may be a short-term profit from rebooting the characters over and over again, more and more people, if you start to see on their videos and in their comments, they're talking about the fact that they're not buying the newer books anymore. They're concentrating on the older books. Why? Because those are the characters they're used to. And I'm not just saying it for, like, for example, some of the people in the business will say, oh, this is a white male, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I don't want to see Black Panther become a white character. I don't want to see Wonder Woman become a male character. So it has nothing to do with sexism, racism, transphobia, or anything like that. And Bake the Snake says, you're missing the point, good as gold. Oh, okay. Oh, I see what he's saying. He's talking about, his comment says, good as gold says, in 20 years, the older generation will be dead. That's nice. And the kids will be spending the money they're planning for in the future. Well, not the direction that they're going. I mean, eventually, the people that 20 years from now, they'll be the next generation. How many times will you want them to reboot your characters? The people who grew up now loving Miles Morales. What happens if all of a sudden Miles Morales becomes a woman? Or all of a sudden he becomes a white character? Or for the 20th time they did a reboot? They're damaging the system to the point where even the younger generation is walking away. So they're not building long-term fan bases by aggravating and stressing people out. I mean, some people brought up some good points the other day about the fact of, look at what the DC Universe has done. People are liking the Rebirth, but not everybody liked the New 52, and don't forget Convergence before that, which was a horror show. This is in the span of about a 3-year period. So, yes, the older generation, we're eventually going to die away, but I'm in no hurry to die. So I still have, knock on wood, another 20, 30, 40 years of purchasing what I love with the money I have to spend. That's a lot of profit that they're going to lose. The newer generations are going to start getting sick and tired of all these reboots, of all the characters changed. A lot of them don't see that right now because they're not doing that to your characters, the newer ones, because they're the ones that are replacing the older ones. My thing is, if you are really truly a business, like for example, when they had, I forget the first name, but whatever show becoming the new Incredible Hulk. Well, why didn't they do another version? I mean, they have the infinite universes. They have the ability to have different time periods. Why can't they just create other characters? Because it's not like they can't do that. So you almost have to think, are they doing it on purpose? And if people don't understand how businesses work, just look at the sales. Again, look at how many comics were being sold in the millions in the 90s. When they kept doing all of those fancy covers, the glow-in-the-dark covers, and all the variants and stuff, like you notice they're doing now, eventually people got so sick of it, they walked away and never came back. I left around 94, 95, somewhere around there. I did not look at, buy, know anything about a comic until 2015, and that was in October of 2014 when I came back. So from around 1995 to 2014, I knew nothing about comics. I wanted nothing to do with it. And many people followed suit. So the newer generation is not going to see the long-term effects because you're just starting out like we did. If I knew now if I knew then what I know now, things would have been incredibly different. And that's how businesses end up using and taking advantage of the younger generations to profit off of them because they don't think long term. They just think about, well, it's a number one, it's going, I bought it for $5.99 and now I could sell it for $30. They work on your greed. Eventually people are going to get sick of all these constant reboots. And eventually the characters that from the newer generation that you guys are growing up to love, what's to stop them one day from changing your characters? You can have your cake and eat it too when it comes to selling in a business. And like, for example, the Star Wars movies. I am a die-hard Star Wars fan. I saw the original Star Wars movie in 1977 in the movie theater at least 7 times. I could quote it verbatim. I saw all of those movies in the movie theater. I loved Star Wars. Because of what they've done with this new group of movies, I will not see the next movie. I don't want anything to do with Star Wars anymore. I won't even buy another Star Wars comic. So if you make your fan base mad, that's not a smart business move. The idea of a business is not to make it political, to not make it religion. I mean, what are the 2 things they tell you in business that you shouldn't talk about? Politics and religion. And look what businesses are doing now. They're trying to separate and divide everybody by race and creed and color. And they're taking away the characters that we love for diversity. Well, if you take away from characters, how is that being diverse? Isn't diversity having a mixture of things? So if you take, for example, Captain America and all of a sudden have the Falcon take it over, how is that being diverse? That's just saying we're going to make it different. We're going to take the same idea and just make it a little different. And look how much that's working these days. Look at things like Weapon H. Look at things like the Cosmic Ghost Rider, where they're just combining other characters. That's not a fresh idea. That's not original. And it's definitely not going to last the test of time. These are books that, yeah, maybe for a couple of years they might go over well. But do you really think that Weapon H is going to be an Amazing Fantasy 15 in 50 years from now? I doubt it. Do you think the Ghost Rider, the Cosmic Ghost Rider, do you think that's going to stand the test of time? There's a reason why Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, even people like Black Panther, because of the movies and everything, there's a reason why they've lasted so long. And there's a reason why there are generations of people who bought them. So for businesses like Marvel and DC, and even to another extent like Disney and all these other movie companies, for you to take something that people love and spit on it, and saying, well, if you don't like it, then you're a racist or you're a sexist, is going to make people say, you know what? I'm going to put my money somewhere else. And that's not a smart business decision. So I want to warn people, when it comes to these situations, just read the comment section. Watch when this one uploads. Many people are going to agree. Whether you like me or not is irrelevant. This is about seeing the path that the businesses are going on. And businesses are not stupid. So they're not doing this saying, oh, we didn't know. They can't be that stupid. Because if they were, they wouldn't be able to own billion-dollar corporations. They're doing this on purpose. And most people don't want to hear that because that sounds like some kind of conspiracy theory. But all you have to do is base it on all the things that are going on. You know, look at, for example, the show, I think it's The Last Man Standing. It's the one with Tim Allen when he used to be on ABC. And it was the most successful show, but because it had a more conservative tone, they let it go and dropped it. And then Fox took it over, and it's a successful show. I mean, you just have to look at all the TV shows and all the movies. The idea of diversity is perfectly acceptable to everybody. Yes, I'm an old white male, and I have no problem with diversity, but not at the expense of changing the things I love. Why can't you just add them? So... like Dr. Von Chilla says, and I agree with this, anybody who thinks the hobby is better now than ever certainly wasn't there in the 60s and 70s. And that's true. I mean, it's characters like Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and, you know, The Flash and Aquaman and all these characters, Spider-Man, that made what comic collecting is today. You wouldn't have Weapon H if they didn't have the Hulk and Wolverine. You wouldn't have the Cosmic Ghost Rider if Punisher and Ghost Rider didn't exist. The idea is to not get emotional about it. If you look at the comics I buy, I spend thousands of dollars. And I'm not a rich person. But if you watch my videos, well, it's hard to say for my original channel, but I used to buy all the variants, all the newer books. Even on this channel, in the beginning, I was buying every Wednesday. I had the new comic book day. Now it's sporadic. And even then, when I was doing it, I had a bunch of Marvel on my pull list. I don't have them anymore. I took the Fantastic Four off my pull list. I took the Amazing Spider-Man off my pull list. The only thing I have left on my pull list is The Walking Dead. So unless The Walking Dead comes out, I don't go to Wednesday to buy any comic books that are new. I would rather spend my money on the old things that I love. So that's not a smart business decision. Because like I said, if you look at the video I did, the last video, about that article, and again, it depends on if it happens or not. If they do end up changing the story of the Fantastic Four, whether it's better or not is not good. Remember Star Wars. Remember back in 1999, George Lucas added things to the Star Wars movies and re-put them out in the 90s? I hated what they did. Remember, now it's that whole concept of who shot first, Han Solo or Greedo? That was such a stupid decision that he made. It was so cool, the original version where Han Solo's just leaning back nonchalantly and then shoots Greedo without Greedo even knowing the shot was fired. But then they had him move the other way. It was the most ridiculous thing. So the idea is don't change classics. You can make new versions. And I mean, they have the right to do it. But there's an old saying that says just because you can doesn't mean you should. So, I mean, even if a change does make it better, if you upset the majority of people who are the reason why the Fantastic Four, for example, is so popular, is that a smart business move? And yeah, Discovery Bay Comics says Han Solo shot first. Yeah, but not according to the redo. And see, that upsets people. A business's job is to make money, and you don't make a lot of money by upsetting people. I mean, look at the whole conservative and liberal movements in the politics. in TV shows and movies. Now, I don't care whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. Me, I am neither. I don't want to be on one side of a fence because that's two-dimensional thinking in a three-dimensional world. I like to think about what is the best for my needs. There will be some that's liberal, there will be some that's conservative. For you to limit yourself to one side or the other never gets you to see the full picture or complete a full puzzle if you only have half the pieces. But if you notice TV shows these days, they tend to stay on one side or the other. Now, if you're a conservative, why are you going to want to watch a show that's making fun of you because they think differently? Is that a smart business move? When comic books are saying that we want to make more female characters, which is perfectly fine, don't do it at the expense of taking away the male characters and turning them female. Why can't you add a female character? And that's why, for example, one of my favorite movies growing up was the second Alien movies, Aliens. And Ripley, you know, who was played by a female, was amazing, but they didn't make the men feel like idiots. They didn't make you feel like, oh, if you didn't like it, there's something wrong with you. That was such a great character. It was very believable, and I enjoyed that movie. That movie I saw in the movie theater the day it came out, and it was a roller coaster ride from start to finish. One of the greatest movies I've seen in my lifetime. Nowadays, they make it so unrealistic that people just walk away. So that's not a smart business decision. So what I'm trying to help people, and Brett Hess says, don't fix what ain't broke. You're exactly right, and that's what they're doing. They're trying to reinvent the wheel, and you can't do that. The wheel is perfect for a reason. It's been around for thousands upon thousands of years because it worked. You ever notice a toilet hasn't really changed since they created the plumbing system? It's because it works. So my plea to places like Marvel, Disney, Warner Brothers, all the comic book studios, all the movie studios, all the TV studios, is you can make female characters. You can make diverse characters, whether they are gay, straight, or anything. Make sure it applies to the story. I don't want to have a gay character if it does not have any meaning. If you're just putting them in saying, hey, hi, I'm a gay character, or hey, hi, I'm an African-American character, or hey, hi, I'm a leftist liberal, if it has nothing to do with the story, then what's the purpose of it other than a political agenda? And people are not stupid. That's why, like, for example, if you saw that, what is it, the YouTube Rewind? This whole forcing the diversity down people's throats like they're children, it has the second highest thumb down ratio. I worry about my thumbs down from the 6 or 7 stalkers I get. They got like 8 million thumbs down in 48 hours. It's only behind Justin Bieber's Baby. And that has been around since, I think, 2010. And it's got second place as of now in 48 hours. It's because people don't like to be told how to think. Or if they think a certain way, it's wrong. And that's why, like, for example, you may or may not like broccoli, but you have the right to like it or not like it. But you don't have the right to insult somebody else because they choose not to like it. It doesn't mean they want to ban broccoli from the universe. It doesn't mean you're a bad person if you don't or you do like it. It just means it's a preference. Businesses should be concentrating on sales and making everybody happy. So if you want more African American characters, come up with an original character. If you want a bisexual or a gay character, come up with an original character. If you want a female character, don't change a male character that we love into a female character. Just create a new one. People are not stupid and they will get tired of it. You can only do that so many times before even the newer generation will get tired of it. So, in the comment section, when this uploads, tell me what generation you are, and tell me if you approve of the way things are going. And in 20 years, do you think if they continue these trends of reboots and insulting you, are you going to be somebody that's going to continually give them your money? I mean, to me, it's like a bad relationship. Just because you love somebody or may have been in love with somebody does not give them the right to put you down, to control you, to hurt you. And if you're silly enough to stay in an abusive relationship where people are putting you down, then is it any wonder you're feeling the way you're feeling? So many people are going to start walking away. Um, Let me see. Pages, Films, and Plastic says, can you imagine if they change Green Lantern into Blue Lantern? Well, all the people that love the Green Lantern are not going to be happy. Why can't they have the Green Lantern and then a Blue Lantern character? They could make that character female. They could make that character Asian or something else. There's always a way. The problem these days is, unfortunately, these companies have some kind of political agenda. And that's a good point. Good as gold. Was Jon Stewart a bad choice? No, he wasn't. Jon Stewart was a new character. It wasn't all of a sudden that Hal Jordan turned into Jon Stewart. And that's why many people like Jon Stewart. So it shows that you can actually have diverse characters. You just create new ones. I have no problem with the Jon Stewart character, but I would if all of a sudden one day Hal Jordan went to bed and he was a white character and all of a sudden woke up as an African American. That doesn't make me racist. It doesn't mean I have a problem with the African American community. It just means I don't want to see that change. Just like if all of a sudden Black Panther went to bed as an African American, or as an African because he wasn't American, but if he woke up the next day as a white person, I would be just as upset with that. So how could I be labeled, according to some of these companies and some of these people, as an SJW if it goes both ways? Or is saying I'm a racist? I'm not. The only people I don't like are angry, hurtful people. And businesses really need to wake up because they're losing more and more money. And eventually, they will stop making comic books. And then what? So if you love comic books, you have to think long term. If it means you have to skip the 15th edition of #1 issues, and you might not be happy about that, be happy with the fact they're still there for you to buy. Because do you really think Amazing Spider-Man volume #4 is being in high demand right now? How many volumes of Amazing Spider-Man do they have right now? Is it like up to volume 6? How many people right now are looking for volume 2 of Spider-Man #15? Just think about these things. So I want to thank everybody, and I will do a surprise subscriber shout out. Let me know what you thought about this. This is something new, and it's actually kind of cool. It's a little dark in here because, like I said, I'm in my massage room, and there's only those 2 little candlelight kind of light bulbs. Kind of keeps the room dark, and I'm getting ready to go DJ. But let me know what you think about this. But let me do today's surprise subscriber shout out. And again, once this uploads and processes, make sure you leave in the comment section what generation and tell me what you think about the future of comics and how much money you're going to spend. But I'm telling you, the older generation, yeah, we might be going away in 20, 30 years, but we still got 20 or 30 years worth of spending in us. And the last thing you want to do is hurt the people that are going to spend and give you the most money. That's what puts comic book stores out of business. So think long term. So we're going to do today, we're going to do as the surprise subscriber shout out. And of course, you don't have to be one, but I hope that I will gain your subscription. Chris Barrett, since you have an awesome first name, I am going to give you today's surprise subscriber shout out. And his comment is, I think it's up to 9.3 million thumbs down. Well, that should tell you everything that you need to know. So thank you very much. I hope you appreciated this. And Sequential, it's not a message room, it's a massage room, but you were close. Yeah, this is my massage office. The idea is to keep it nice and relaxing. But I had time before I have to go to my DJing, doing some karaoke, so I thought I would spend the time with you guys. So if you appreciate it, I always love the thumbs up. Right now there's only 16 thumbs up, so hopefully you guys can fix that and show me the support, because you guys know I love that. And SWP Goat says, Massage Dungeon. No, we don't really lock people up in here. That's not really good for business, especially when you're a licensed massage therapist. So we don't usually torture people. So thanks for watching, guys. Chris, I'm glad you saw that shout out. The thumbs up are always supportive. We would love for you to subscribe, share these kind of videos, get a conversation going. And I love the fact that you guys come here, you don't argue. You may disagree, but you're not all cursing at each other and fighting. And that's what I want this channel to be all about. And I think that's what some people don't seem to understand about my messages. I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade. I'm trying to show people down the line that if a bridge is out, they may really love traveling down that road, but if I'm trying to stop you from injuring yourself, then see it for what it is as something protective and helpful. So learn from us older people who are not ready to die yet, who love these things, and you can only love something so long. A dog is going to be loyal to you, but if you abuse it, you do it enough, eventually that dog will either run away or bite you. So Marvel, DC, all these companies, the TV shows and movies, stop what you're doing. If you want true diversity, make it diverse for all, not just newer people that you think are going to like it in the expense of other people. Don't insult your customer. It's not the greatest way to make business. So thank you very much, guys. Love you all. Peace and love, and thumbs up to you guys. Thank you again, and I look forward to reading your comments. Take care, everybody.